Gurudev. We were looking at the fourth verse, I think, but I will just repeat yesterday's shloka and then we will go to the new shloka. I think from 7th we had done. Samyak Vijnanavan Yogi Svatmanyevakhilam Jagata Ekam Cha Sarvamatmanam Ikshate Jnana Chakshusha. Yogi of perfect realization and enlightenment sees his eye of wisdom, Jnana Chakshusha, the entire universe in his own self and regards everything else as his own self and nothing else. Atmaivedam jagat sarvam atmanonyanna vidyate mrudo yadvadaghatadini svatmanam sarvamikshate. Nothing, whatever exists other than the Atman, the tangible universe, is verily Atman, as pots and jars are verily made of clay and cannot be said to be anything but clay. So too, to the enlightened soul, all that is perceived is the self. Jiva muktastu tadvat Urvopadhimanstyajit Satchidanandarupatva Bhavedbharakitava. A liberated one, endowed with self-knowledge, gives up the traits of his previously explained equipments, upadhis, and because of his nature of Satchit Ananda, he verily becomes Brahman-like, the worm that grows to be a wasp. Tidva moharnavam hatva ragadveshadirakshasan yogi shanti samayukta atma ramo virajate. After crossing the ocean of delusion and killing the monsters of likes and dislikes, the yogi who is united with peace dwells in the glory of his own realized self as an Atmaram. Try to recall Valmikiji's Ramayana and Swamiji's beautiful explanation for the Atmaram, for the whole Sita and Ravana. Bahya sukhas hivatma sukharvrutah ghatastha deepavat swasthah swantareva prakashate. The self-abiding Jivan Mukta, relinquishing all his attachments to the illusory external happiness and satisfied with the bliss derived from the Atman, shines inwardly like a lamp placed inside a jar. So once the Jivan Mukta, he is in Antarmukhi, then he himself illumines all his inner equipments. Upadhisthopi tadvarmaihi alipto vyomavan sarva vinmudhavattishthet asakto vayuvaccharet. Though he lives in the conditionings, upadhis, he, the contemplative one, remains ever unconcerned with anything or he may move about like the wind, perfectly unattached. उपाधिविलयाद्विष्णौ निर्विशेषं विषेन्मुनिः जले जलं वियद्व्यायोन्मे तेजस्तेजसि वा यथा. I think my pronunciation, kindly correct me if I'm wrong. Maraji,
Yeah, Jai Gurudev. उपाधिविलयात् विष्णु निर्विशेषं विषेन्मुनिः जले जलं वियद्व्योम्नि तेजस्तेजसि वा यथा.
On the definition of the upadhis, the contemplative one is totally absorbed in Vishnu, the all-pervading spirit, like water into water, space into space, and light into light. So, Sarvam Brahmamaya for the Jivan Mukta. Yallabhanna paro labho yat sukhanna param sukham yajnana param jnanam tad brahmetyavadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, the attainment of which leaves nothing more to be attained, the blessedness of which leaves no other blessing to be desired, and the knowledge of which leaves nothing more to be known. So once that Atma Tattva is realized, there is nothing more to be known or no other blessing to be gained. I think this is a new shloka. I will just read once again the whole this previous shloka. Realize that to be Brahman, the attainment of which leaves nothing more to be attained, the blessedness of which leaves no other blessing to be desired, and the knowledge of which leaves nothing more to be known. This we had done, but I will just repeat once again. These three following stanzas in Atma Bodham try to indicate the Supreme Brahman by a technical process used in Vedanta to express the Absolute called Tatastha Lakshana, an attempt at definition by differentiation, yet in consonance with it. In indicating, for example, the house of Sat Prakashji, we may say that house on which the crow sits is his house. The crow does not permanently sit there. The crow is no part of that house. Showing the crow, we indicate the house separately from other similar houses. The house is, of course, understood as the building without the crow on it. Even when the crow has flown away, the knower of the house can recognize it from all other houses. This method is called Tatastha Lakshana. The supreme experience is explained here as the greatest gain, the greatest knowledge, having gained which no more is felt any sense of incompleteness, and so none will like to add any more gains to it. Having enjoyed the bliss of the self, none will strive for a greater bliss, having known which there will never be any more, any thirst to know anything more. That state of absolute gain, bliss, knowledge is Brahman, the experience of the self. All struggles to gain new acquisitions, to add fresh joys, and to strive for more knowledge indicate the sense of dissatisfaction felt by the imperfect. Imperfection belongs to the individuality in us, the ego, jiva. When the jiva rediscovered itself to be the self, all imperfections it so far felt are understood by it to be the destiny of its matter envelopments, the body, mind, intellect. And therefore, in that condition of spiritual rediscovery, the realized one finds that all his struggles have ended, that in experiencing which we come to feel such an endless fullness in our life is the supreme goal. So once that contentment is achieved by recognizing our own self, you get that abundance, the feeling of abundance, that you do not require anything, the feeling of contentment, which is the supreme goal of our life. Anyone wants me to repeat anything before we go to the new shloka? Please let me know, or if you want to share. These are very, very beautiful shloka, so please pay attention. Yad param drishyam, yad bhutva na punarbhavah, yad jnatva param gneyam, tad brahmetyavadharayet. Yad drishtva, which when seen, na, not, aparam, anything else, drishyam, to be seen, yad bhutva, which having become, na, not, punarbhavaha, to be born again in the world, yaj jnatva, which when knowing, na, not, aparam, anything else, gneyam, to be known, tad brahma, that to be Brahman, iti, thus avadharayet, realize. Yad drishtva na aparam drishyam, yad bhutva na punarbhavah, yaj dhyatva na aparam gneyam, tad brahma iti avadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, which when seen leaves nothing more to be seen, which having become one is not born again in this world, and which when knowing leaves nothing else to be known. I repeat, realize that to be Brahman, which when seen leaves nothing more to be seen, which having become one is not born again in this world, and which when knowing leaves nothing else to be known. I feel like once we do the darshana of Bhagavan, then you do not have anything, any desire left. That is the self-realization, when you see that Brahman within yourself. In so perfect a state of tranquility, peace, and perfection, there is no further demand from within us to gain anything else to make us more perfect. If there be yet any lingering demands, then we have to consider ourselves still to be imperfect. The highest state of existence is that supreme joy experience, when there are no thought eruptions, when we no longer exist as the ugly ego center. In the experience of this absolute bliss, when the mind and intellect have ceased to function, truth dazzles forth in all its essential, natural beauty, divine. I will read once again. It's a beautiful paragraph. In so perfect a state of tranquility, peace, and perfection, There is no further demand from within us to gain anything else to make us more perfect. If there be yet any lingering demands, then we have to consider ourselves still to be imperfect. The highest state of existence is that supreme joy experience, when there are no thought eruptions, when we no longer exist as the ugly ego center. In the experience of this absolute bliss, when the mind and the intellect have ceased to function, truth dazzles forth in all its essential, natural beauty, divine. So once our antakaran has become Shuddha and we are able to see that pure self within us, which is Satchidanand, then you do not have any other desire or any other, you can say, demand for knowing anything more. Feel that supreme joy experience of Sat Chit Ananda or Shivam, that perfect bliss. All other intellectual endeavors are but reflections of the self on the objects. Atma Vidya gives realization of knowledge itself. All knowledge of things is conditioned and they are apprehended by this eternal light which illumines the entire worlds of its own projections. Having known this pure awareness, nothing more remains to be known. I repeat once again, as there is a notification, internet unstable. All other intellectual endeavors are but reflections of the self on the objects. Atma Vidya gives the realization of knowledge itself. All other knowledge of things is conditioned and they are apprehended by this eternal light which illumines the entire worlds of its own projections. Having known this pure awareness, nothing more remains to be known. When you are able to see Sarva Bhutas, when you are able to see everything around you as that one only, then you do not have anything unknown. Having become that eternal being, the subject, there is no more any object other than it for it to illumine. Having obtained a glimpse of that reality, there is nothing more to be seen or understood. Having awakened to that consciousness, all the misconceptions are removed. Having burnt our ignorance, avidya, the seeds of bondage, vasanas, get charred. I repeat once again, having become that eternal being, the subject, there is no more any object other than it for it to illumine. Having obtained a glimpse of that reality, there is nothing more to be seen or understood. Having awakened to that consciousness, all the misconceptions are removed. Having burnt our ignorance, avidya, the seeds of bondage, vasanas get charred. So in that Pavak Agni, our all ignorance, avidya, is burnt and the vasanas get, all the bondages are removed. They are burnt completely once we have the glimpse of that reality. Anyone wants to share? Kindly unmute and share. तीर्यगूर्ध्वमद पूर्णं सच्चिदानन्दमद्वयम् अनन्तं नित्यमेकं यत् तद्ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत्. This is a beautiful shloka. I will recite once again. Tiryagurdhvamadः पूर्णं सच्चिदानन्दमद्वयम् अनन्तं नित्यमेकं यत् तद्ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत्. Tiryak, all the quarters, urdhvam, above, adaha, below, purna, fills, satchidanandam, which is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, advayam, non-dual, anantam, infinite, nityam, eternal, ekam, one, yat, which, tad brahma, that to be Brahman, iti, thus, avadharayet, realize. Tiryak urdhvam adha purna satchidanandam advayam anantam nityam ekam yat tad brahma iti avadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, which is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, which is non-dual, infinite, eternal, and one, and which fills all the quarters above and below and all that exists between. I repeat, realize that to be Brahman, which is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, which is non-dual, infinite, eternal, and one, and which fills all the quarters above and below, and all that exists between. So please remember this word, Purnam Satchidanandam Advayam Anantam Nityam. East and west, above and below, here and everywhere permeates that dynamic reality. When I am aware of that consciousness and leave that experience, this outer world of consciousness is no more available for me. The world that I perceive now with my limited body, mind, intellect, equipment. I read once again. East and west, above and below, here and everywhere permeates that dynamic reality. When I am aware of that consciousness and live that experience, this outer world of consciousness is no more available for me. The world that I perceive now with my limited body, mind, intellect, equipment. Means that outer world is not available for the Jivan Mukta. How can I see the front or rear, top or bottom of that one homogeneous mass of consciousness when there is nothing other than it everywhere? I cannot say the front because the front of what? A limited thing alone can have or sides. Thus, we experience this endlessness of infinite bliss, which is one without a second. This world of attachment and sorrow is because of the self-dissipating extrovertedness and the delusory interest wrongly created by our mind for the individuality in us. I read once again. How can I see the front or rear, top or bottom of that one homogeneous mass of consciousness when there is nothing other than it everywhere? I cannot say the front because the front of what? A limited thing alone can have parts or sides. Thus, we experience this endlessness of infinite bliss, which is one without a second. This world of attachment and sorrow is because of the self-dissipating extrovertedness and the delusory interest wrongly created by our mind for the individuality in us. There is no experience when there is the only one reality. And the nature of the Paramatman in you is Sat Chit Ananda. This experience of pure being cannot be described because it will then be limited by the feeble powers of our speech. It is that light which is eternally here in you and everywhere you roam about. Moments of perfect attunement with it are the moments of self-realization. Very beautiful. I will read once again. There is no experience when there is the only one reality. And the nature of the Paramatman in you is Sat Chit Ananda. This experience of pure being cannot be described because it will then be limited by the feeble powers of our speech. It is that light which is eternally here in you and everywhere you roam about. Moments of perfect attunement with it are the moments of self-realization. Just close your eyes for a second and feel that oneness. It is so beautiful. If anyone wants to share or wants me to read once again, please let me know. Okay. Atadvaya vrittirupena vedantairlakshate dvayam akhandanandamekam yat tad brahmyetyavadharayet. Kindly correct me if I have pronounced it wrong. Kshamyatam. Atata, not this, vyavritti rupena, by the process of negation, vedantaihi, by Vedanta philosophy. I think here I should have pronounced vedantaihi. Kshamyatam. Atadvaya rupena, atadvaya वृत्तिरूपेण वेदान्तैर्लक्ष्यते द्वयम् अखण्डानन्दमेकं यत् तद् ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत्. Atat, not this, vyavrutti rupena, by the process of negation, vedantaihi, by Vedanta philosophy, lakshyate, indicated, advayam, non-dual, akhandanandam, indivisible and blissful, ekam, one, yat, which, tad brahma, that to be Brahman, iti, thus, avadharayet, realize. Atata vyavritti rupena vedantaihi lakshyate advayam akhandanandam ekam yat tat brahma iti avadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, which is non-dual, indivisible, one and blissful, and which is indicated in Vedanta as the immutable substratum, realized after the negation of all tangible objects. I repeat, realize that to be Brahman, which is non-dual, indivisible, one and blissful, and which is indicated in Vedanta as the immutable substratum, realized after the negation of all tangible objects. Reference is made here to the process of negation, which was explained earlier. None can directly reach the all-pervading Brahman who is not an object of cognition, but is itself the subjective reality, ever illumining all thoughts and actions. Being one without a second, it does not admit of any difference from similar or dissimilar objects. This indivisible and immutable self is not an important factor, but a positive state of infinite bliss. The Upanishads indicate that this self is reached by a process of negation of what it is not and of assertion of what it is, the very substratum for all the existence. I read once again, it is very important. Please pay attention. Reference is made here to the process of negation, which was explained earlier. None can directly reach the all-pervading Brahman, who is not an object of cognition, but is itself the subjective reality. Remember this word, subjective reality, ever illumining all thoughts and actions. Being one without a second, it does not admit of any difference from similar or dissimilar objects. This indivisible and immutable self is not an important factor, but a positive state of infinite bliss. The Upanishads indicate that this self is reached by a process of negation of what it is not and of assertion of what it is, the very substratum for all the existence. So it is I think that word kutastha we have to recall. It is the very substratum which is akhanda, which is infinite. Anyone wants to share in a simple way? Kindly unmute and share. Are not our minds limited? Are not our thoughts?
Jai Gurudev, I just want to say that it is not, the self is not attained directly. It is through a process of negation plus realization. So it is both. That is what is meant, right? Can you just read that paragraph one more time, Bela?
Yeah. Reference is made here to the process of negation, which was explained earlier. None can directly reach the all-pervading Brahman, who is not an object of cognition, but is itself the subjective reality, ever illumining all thoughts and actions. Being one without a second, it does not admit of any difference from similar or dissimilar objects. This indivisible and immutable self is not an important factor, but a positive state of infinite bliss. The Upanishads indicate that this self is reached by a process of negation of what it is not and of assertion of what it is, the very substratum for all the existence.
So it is both a process of negation as well as assertion. Negation of what it is not and assertion of what it is.
Jai Gurudev, here I just want to add one thing. This negation is helping me a lot since last 3-4 days. The moment you get up, instead of I am Brahman, this idea that the whole day now it is whatever I am seeing is Swapnavat, is the dream. That helps more to come into that witness consciousness. Jai Gurudev, just my personal sharing.
I think this subjective reality is very important. That is the only self-existent truth. The rest of it is all Maya is Maya, as we saw in chapter 6.
Even I was just contemplating right now that our 7 levels of existence, which we do in the part 1 course, I am not the body, I am not the mind. You know, finally, till you cross over to the ego state and come to the self state. So, like all the delusions that are there is because of the illusions created in the mind. Like light is just has no color, but when it goes through a prism, then at the end of this thing you get the Vibgyor colors. So that is all delusions of the mind. I was just contemplating on it. Neti, 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 neti. So then finally you reach that, and that's a wonderful state, the realizing of the self. I was just comparing it with the 7 levels of existence. How we are fooled by our own mind, by our own intellect. Jai Gurudev.
Yeah, that's very beautiful. So ultimately, even that ego sense, right now, the ego sense is so strong. It's like a thick sheet, which is why we are not able to come out of this illusion that I am not the body, I am not the mind. So that once that ego sense becomes so thin, the veil of ego becomes so thin that even that disappears. And for that disappearing of that ego sense, we require this assertion of Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi. Then even that ego sense, that little thin layer of veil of Maya or illusion of Maya, even that disappears. And then you are that. There's nothing else. You become that subjective reality. You are that subjective reality, not really become. So it's all this game of ego that is putting us into this Maya of illusion. So the small I merges with the big I. That is the whole journey. But for that, you require this neti first.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Then you can walk like a king and have a light walk. Are not our minds limited? Are not our thoughts in their impurity ever unsteady? Are not the objects of cognition ever changing and of a perishable nature? What is it that is changeless in all this welter of change? What is the one life force on account of which there is the manifestation of matter? Who illumines the inert matter? Who injects matter with the vigor and vitality of life? What exists behind all this pluralistic existence? Which is the homogeneous and the all-permeating spirit in all objects? What keeps all things in one loving embrace, like the string in a garland of pearls? That is the substratum, the basis of our own self, which cannot be objectively pursued, but can be subjectively experienced as the pure consciousness, Atman. These are beautiful questions. I will read once again. Are not our minds limited? Are not our thoughts in their impurity ever unsteady? Are not the objects of cognition ever changing and of a perishable nature? What is it that is changeless in all this welter of change? Please forgive me if I don't know this word, welter. So if my pronunciation is wrong, what is it that is changeless in all this welter of change? What is the one life force on account of which there is the manifestation of matter? Who illumines the inert matter? Who injects matter with the vigor and vitality of life? What exists behind all this pluralistic existence, which is the homogeneous and the all-permeating spirit in all objects? What keeps all things in one loving embrace like the string in a garland of pearls? That is the substratum, the basis of our own self, which cannot be objectively perceived, but can be subjectively experienced as the pure consciousness, Atman. In the earlier three stanzas, the self was indicated with a definition by differentiation, yet in consonance with it, technically called as Tatastha Lakshana. From here onwards, we have a description of the life spark in us by the direct method called Swarupa Lakshana. So that Tatastha Lakshana, Swamiji had given that example, right? That the crow sitting on the house, to indicate that house, you say first initially the crow sitting on that house. But it is not, the crow is not going to stay there. It may fly and then, but you know that that is the building. You know that that is the house. So that is the Tatastha Lakshana. Kindly explain it. I'm not able to express myself.
You explained it very well, Bela.
Yeah, so the Atman is that substratum like a kutastha, which remains unchanged and which appears to be different in all the creations around us, but it is the same one reality, which is subjective. And these questions are very important when we say that, when we are doing that neti negation. Behind everything around us, you can feel that one life force which is there, which is present in all the, yeah.
So all the shlokas where it says that Brahmetya Vadharayet, all those, the previous maybe 6 or 10 verses that we learned, all those are the Tatastha Lakshana. It's pointing to the Atman, that is the Atman, that is the Atman. Whereas now we're going to read is the Swarupa Lakshana. It is like pointing out to the house on which the crow is. So that is what Atman is, that is what Brahman is.
So Tatastha Lakshana, we have to remember as a subjective reality and the substratum, right? Which is not changing, which remains the same.
Yeah, this Tatastha Lakshana is only a method used in Vedanta to indicate what the truth is. That is only a technique. It's only a method used.
Can you just briefly explain it once again?
See, the actual thing is that Tatastha Lakshana is, the definition is by differentiation, yet in consonance with it. Like if we take one example, can you go to the previous paragraph, previous shloka once, Mila? I think not all the shlokas, and any one shloka should be fine, I think.
Yeah, this Tatastha Lakshana is here.
It's over there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Indicating, for example, the house, that house on which the crow sits is his house. Showing the crow, we indicate the house separately from other similar houses. The house is, of course, understood as the building. Can you just scroll up? Without the crow on it, even when the crow has flown away, the knower of the house can recognize it from all other houses. This method is called Tatastha Lakshana. Here, the Supreme Experience is explained here as the greatest gain, the greatest knowledge. Having gained which no more is felt any sense of incompleteness, and so none will like to add any more gain to it. So, by indicating that once you attain that, you are not going to have any more sense of incompleteness. They're like pointing out to that space. So that is the Tatastha Lakshana. So I think here it is like that example where the crow is not going to sit there permanently, but the house on which that crow is, the house is important here. But because there may be other houses there, so the only way to differentiate is to say yes, the house on which the crow is sitting. Similarly, here the description of the space of the subjective reality is being indicated here using several examples, several indicators. So that space. Now, what if the Swarup, when we read the Swarupa Lakshana, then we'll, I think, better understand what this Tatastha Lakshana is. Tatastha Lakshana is just an indicator. It's like a pointing arrow. You look at that tree, beyond that tree, you have that star. You can see the star. So Swarupa Lakshana is describing the star per se, without having the need for any other aid. You don't need the tree, you don't need the crow, you don't need anything to describe the Swarupa Lakshana. Whereas, in order to indicate that is the star beyond, look at that tree, look beyond that tree, and then you'll find the star. So that the space which, after having gained, there is no need for any no need to search for any other gain. So they're indicating that space. In fact, all the shlokas where that brahmetya vadharayet, know that to be Brahman, know that to be Brahman. All those shlokas, maybe if we have time, we can run through them once. Otherwise, I think we had about 6-7 shlokas, I think. Isn't it? I think from this shloka onwards.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Very
I don't know
important.
whether I was clear enough for you to,
Yes,
I
yes.
mean, whether I got the idea
No, no,
right.
got it. Like this Tatastha Lakshanam was very important for me. From second onwards, I'm having 2 cancer cases coming to me. So you are not the body and you are the self. This will help in explaining that better when I take 7 levels of existence with them. I was just correlating all that in my mind.
Raji, I understood it in a Little but like the crow, maybe I considered as Atma. Like in our body, we have Atma, so it is not going to stay there permanently. But we know that the substratum within that body is something which is not going to die. So even if the crow flies away, the jiva is not there. But still, within that there was a substratum which is never going to die, which is going to remain akhanda, Satpurna. That's what I thought. This is my little understanding.
Thank you so much. Like,
See, the jiva which is going external, going outwardly, that is the limited. But the same jiva, when he turns his mind inwards, that Atma Rama instead of that Indriya Rama,
Mhm.
that will make him realize the subjective reality. For that to happen, he has to start with Neti Neti. I am not this, I am not that, and then take his mind inward.
Mhm. And he becomes immortal then.
He is immortal. The problem is,
Yes.
Jiva is immortal. The problem is because of our limited understanding of this whole thing, that we consider ourselves limited. Aham
Pot
alpajnana,
and
aham.
space. Pot
Huh?
and space. Like example is pot and space. The space is inside also the pot. When the pot breaks, everywhere is only space. Like that.
Yeah,
Just the
you can say
Brahma
that,
I
Dr. Renu.
observed.
Yes, the crow represents body and soul, the house, or vice versa. No, the crow represents the body here, the one that is not. You're looking at what you want to indicate is the house, not the crow. But the crow is sitting on this house. So you show the body, say the the Atma is, or the Brahman is that which is, the body is not going to remain permanent, isn't it? Neither is any of the other six levels of existence. The one that remains permanent is that one consciousness. Yeah, so crow essentially is the body, mind, intellect, complex, the whole thing. Yeah, yeah. And house is the Atman. You're right.
So we have to contemplate on that substratum, the subjective reality only, what Nanaji always used to say. Now
Yeah.
I'm able to understand it so well. And in, I think, most of our chantings also, it is so many times it is re-emphasized, whether it is Vishnu Sahasranam or Lalita Sahasranam, the same reality, the same substratum is given importance, that it is only that one energy which is within us.
In fact, the whole of Nirvana Shatakam, except for the last verse maybe, and also Brahmajnana Valimala, it is all about Tatastha Lakshana. I am not this. Asangoham, Asangoham. Why do you have to say Asangoham? Because you have this Sangha. And you say, I am detached. I am not this. I am not that. Like Nirvana Shatakam talks of Mano Buddhya Hankara Chittani Naham. And the end, the last verse, last line, Shivoham, Shivoham, that is the Swarupa Lakshana. The first line, first stanza is the Tatastha Lakshana. Mano
Yes.
Buddhya Hankara Chittani Na. I'm not the mind, I'm not the buddhi, I'm not the intellect, I'm not the I'm not the ego. Anyway, I think it's only a method, so as long as we understand that, it should be fine.
Yeah. So what shall we do now, Brahmaraji? It's already going to be the time for us to contemplate. So I will
Yeah.
just read through the shlokas, what we did today. once
Yeah.
again?
Yeah, that will be good.
Yeah. So we started from, I think, the same shloka, right? 47. We started. I think I'll read from here. Yeah. उपाधिविलयाद्विष्णौ निर्विशेषं विषेन्मुनिः जले जलं वियदायोन्मी तेजस्तेजसि वा यथा. On the destruction of the upadhis, the contemplative one is totally absorbed in Vishnu, the all-pervading spirit, like water into water, space into space, and light into light. Yallabhanna paro labho, yat sukhanna param sukham, yajnananna param jnanam, tad brahmetyavadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, the attainment of which leaves nothing more to be attained, the blessedness of which leaves no other blessing to be desired, and the knowledge of which leaves nothing more to be known. Yad drishtva na param drishyam, yad bhutva na punarbhavah, yajgnatva na param gneyam, tad brahmetyavadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman which, when seen, leaves nothing more to be seen, which having become one, is not born again in this world, and which, when knowing, leaves nothing else to be known. Tiryagurdvamad purnam Satchidanandam advayam Anantam nityamekam yat tad brahmetyavadharayet. Realize that to be Brahman, which is existence, knowledge, bliss, absolute, which is non-dual, infinite, eternal, and one, and which fills all the quarters above and below and all that exists between. अतद्वयावृत्तिरूपेण वेदान्तैर्लक्ष्यते द्वयम् अखण्डानन्दमेकं यत् तद्ब्रह्मेत्यवधारयेत्. Realize that Brahman, which is non-dual, indivisible, one and blissful, and which is indicated in Vedanta as the immutable substratum, realized after the negation of all tangible objects. I think we will stop here for contemplation. Please close your eyes and then for a few seconds, and then we can have our takeaways for today. Yeah, Jai Gurudev. Kindly unmute and share. Kindly try to share quickly so that we can get time to do little chapter 6 because it is so much in line with our Atma Bodha text. So please unmute and share your takeaways, however small or big it may be. Kindly unmute and share. It is very important.
Can someone explain Aham Brahmasmi and Tattvamasi? Both slight difference is there. I feel like that. Can somebody say something about that? Two Mahavakyas.
Um, I'm not a authority there, but then I think Tattvamasi is like the Tatastha Lakshana, saying that you are. And Aham Brahmasmi is is when a person is totally absorbed into that self-realization. Once you attain that, once you recognize that, then what comes out is Aham Brahmasmi.
Okay, thank you. I was thinking like that there is still some aham, means ego is there, and tattvamasi means you are that. Means it is like Guruji said na ki tum wahi ho. So
This, yeah, I know, but this Aham here is not
हाँ,
the ego sense Aham. No.
हाँ. Means after means when he feel he is Brahman, he will say aham brahmasmi. And everything is around Brahma only.
Yeah. There is no difference there between Aham and Brahma there. You are, you merge with that big I.
Correct.
Where this shloka says, no, yam labdva param labham. So once you gain that, there is no other gain you want. You merge with that. So there's no two over there. So this
Thank you,
Aham
Brahmaraji.
in Aham Brahmasmi should not be, I think, confused with Aham the ego. It is not the small I, it is the big I.
Big eye, okay.
I think in one of the verses it was said that, I think this verse only, where a glimpse of that reality will ensure that you don't come back again, you don't get caught up in this duality again. So in our meditation, that whatever we feel, that little sense of oneness, probably that is still one step below this glimpse. Otherwise, we will not be coming back into this, into getting caught up in this Maya. So that probably is maybe a part of the samadhi, different kinds of samadhis that we might experience. So continuing to meditate. Meditation is the key further.
Thank you, Brahmaraji.
Thank you, Brahmaraji. Again, I want to reiterate here that everything is swapnavat. To start on this path, this becomes a little bit more easier. Then the detachment happens a little bit faster, because anyway, the moment this session is going to get over, and then whole day we are engrossed in the Maya only, no? So continuously coming back again and again into witness consciousness that this is Swapnavat. Then next step becomes easier, or maybe it is automatic to go towards the Aham Brahmasmi. Jai Gurudev.
I too agree with that. I have also not very consciously, but started feeling that to detach myself, I started telling myself, giving auto suggestion that this is all a dream. And I feel that is, I don't know if it's helping me, but at least it keeps my mind a little calm now and then.
But
you.
which is very good as an exercise. But even in this Swapna Jagat, when you come back to what Krishna talks of in the Karma Yoga, you have to take up your responsibility and fulfill it completely. Whatever you're supposed to do, you do. We cannot be, we cannot stay in that sense that, oh, all this is only a dream world, and give up our responsibilities. It's a beautiful state to be in, where you detach yourself. But
I agree with
yet,
you,
yeah, because
I
you
agree with
can
you,
get
Dr.
carried away
Brahmara.
by saying, oh, it's only a dream, and then there may be a little slackness in your delivering your
Ha, ha, ha.
responsibility,
Yeah,
which,
I wanted to add here. It's
yeah,
only when I feel I'm not able to do anything more, and maybe that is my karma. I kind of talk negative to myself, and then I tell this, okay, this is a dream. If this is all is your capacity, that is what it is. So this is a dream. So I agree that you have to do your karma and do your responsibilities, but sometimes where you don't get the expected results, though you should not expect, but mind still expects. When I come to that stage of dejection, I just tell myself, okay, this is a dream. Maybe I'm not destined for this. You kind of go down, and then you pick up your mind by saying that, okay, this is a dream. So it gives me a
Actually,
little
there
bit of
is,
comfort.
sorry.
And one thing I realized why I'm doing is because I'm not giving importance to myself. And yesterday I realized that the minute I gave importance, it was a small incident. The minute I gave importance to myself, suddenly I had a surge of energy, and things which I thought was not possible has become possible today. Though last week I was telling myself, oh, it's a dream, and lulling my consciousness that way, getting into that tamasic mode. But yesterday that switch happened, yesterday afternoon, that I realized I'm not giving importance to myself, and that is why my efforts are not being fruitful, because I'm not only respecting it. So when that shift happened, a lot of changes happened. Thank you.
Actually, there is more smile nowadays, and there is a more energy to do whatever I am doing. I'm feeling means still there is me, but a smile is always there now.
Awesome.
Yeah, otherwise what happens, taking this as Aham Brahmasmi, even in the meditation, it takes long time to settle down, coming out of that Nama Rupa thought process. But with this, oh, this is all Swapnavat, then it becomes more easy to take those three things. No, I am nothing, I do nothing, uh, I do nothing, I want nothing, and I am nothing. It becomes more easy when you take this throughout the day, that this is a Swapnavat. I don't think so. It really puts you off by putting into yourself into dynamic action. But this helps in meditation. This helps in getting too much involved in a way to become part of the karmic involvement. It definitely helps to go into witness consciousness, I think so. It worked with me at least that way. Because otherwise it becomes that something different, Aham Brahmasmi, I am supposed to reach there kind of feeling comes. Or maybe whole day this postulate helps that everything is Swapnavat, everything is Maya. Jai Gurudev.
Can I say something? So that when we read that second chapter where Bhagavan Krishna says to Arjuna, I mean, of course, we are all Arjunas, about associate, unversa, that that sloka, that he basically says that, you're not worried about, the people, we never, we are always there. He says, I don't remember exactly the way to describe it, but he says, I was there, and you were there also, and you will be coming, you will be again there, like in the future also, he mentions like that. Which means, like, in this last para where you read, the sloka you read was that infinite is Anantam, and then the eternal, so it's there always. So even in that, where Bhagavan Krishna says, I mean, we can say we are in Swapna state and all that stuff, but then you do your duty, that's what the bottom line is here. I mean, you are doing it. So we still have to do all the things we are supposed to do. And then, to in the process as we gathering this knowledge. And the other day, I don't remember, it was maybe Sumanji asked, what are we supposed to do the meditation? Like Aham Brahmasmi. Like that, you keep telling yourself, and then it kind of thins that veil, between the that we having, hopefully, that will kind of goes away. That is where, I feel this is, try to understand each and every word of it, what we are doing it, learning, and then to incorporate it. Thank you.
Yeah, that was very nice, Dr. Mara. Bela, can we go move on to the Bhagavad Gita here? Dr. Renu has mentioned, has sent some files. I think that was in
Yeah,
response
one more
to
thing, Dr. Brahmara,
the
like when
question.
we say
Yes.
infinite, I always thought that the math, like limitless. That today, when we are reading this, Anantam is the infinite. It's also the limitless, like Anantam, like it just, that's what that sloka was saying here in
Don't
this
they
one.
mean the same, infinite and limitless?
It is, but then in this particular song, it said infinite is Anantam is infinite. The last sloka.
Yeah. So Dr. Renu had mentioned in response to, I think, yeah, I know you got it from Google search. In that response to the question where what is Tattvamasi and what is Aham Brahmasmi, the difference. Yeah, Tattvamasi is that thou art.
Hariom, Brahmaraji, Dr. Mara had read, I think, till Mat Para, so you want to recollect or you want to start from where we stopped? Because
We're
yesterday
still at 13 and 14, isn't it? Chapter shlokas?
Yes,
We're
yes.
supposed to start from
Right.
ultimate end, the ultimate end.
Anyone could please help me in reading? I will just continue sharing the screen. You want to read from the ultimate and whoever is ready?
What was the previous one before the ultimate end?
Meditation is not a technique.
Yeah, you can start from wherever you left last, I think. No? Because only yesterday we didn't do. But if anyone wants a recap, maybe we can go through the previous paragraph that was read the last time.
Yeah, these are
And then
all very,
continue.
very beautiful verses, very beautiful explanation. So you let me know from where you want to start.
Maybe you can start from the previous paragraph of the ultimate end. Meditation is not a technique.
Can someone help reading, please?
Okay. Do you want me to read it? I can read.
Yeah, kindly.
Okay. Meditation is not a technique. The person being discussed in this verse is also called Matpara, another word that describes the person in terms of the object of meditation. The person who meditates in order to lower his or her blood pressure may be blood pressure para, but he or she is definitely not Matpara. People meditate for many reasons. For 100% spiritual success or 100% material success. This only proves that nothing is sacred. This only proves the meditation is not properly understood. Meditation is not a technique, meditation is life. Therefore, Krishna refers to the meditator as Matpara, one for whom the Lord Parameshwara is everything. The mind of such a person will stay with the object of meditation because there is nothing other than Parameshwara, Paramatma to be gained. And this is everything. The one for whom what is to be accomplished is that Paramatma alone is called Matpara, Krishna says. So I'll read it again here. Therefore, Krishna refers to the meditator as Matpara, one for whom the Lord Parameshwara is everything. The mind of such person will stay with the object of meditation because there is nothing other than Parameshwara, Paramatma to be gained. And this is everything. The one for whom what is to be accomplished is that Paramatma alone is called Matpara, Krishna says. Shankara adds here that such a person is very careful in terms of the objects that he or she desires. For example, the person does not think of particular woman or man as the ultimate end, para. Instead, this person has another para in that his or her mind is committed to Ishvara, the Lord, as the ultimate end. The Swarupa of Ishvara, the Paramatma, as the ultimate end. Para is called Paramapada, and the person who has this as only pursuit is called Matpara. Para
Can
is
you
called,
read that one more time, Dr. Pada?
sure, the Shankara adds there from there, or you want me to read?
Yes,
above?
the last one, yeah.
Okay. Shankara adds here that such a person is very careful in terms of objects that he or she desires. For example, the person does not think of a particular woman or man as the ultimate end, para. Instead, this person has another para in that his or her mind is committed to Ishvara, the Lord, as the ultimate end. The Swarupa of Ishvara, the Paramatma as the ultimate end. Para is called Paramapada. And the person who has this as the only pursuit is called Matpara. So the meditator who has the object of meditation as a Parameshwara, that person is called Matpara. Right? And Chitta is that whose mind is thinking about, can you, now I forgot about what Chitta is. Can I go forward, or do you have anything to say, Dr. Pramara? The ultimate end, the expression ultimate end can give rise to another problem if its meaning is not properly understood. Ultimate end does not mean ultimately I will reach that. In the meantime, I have other ends to reach. Thus, ultimate end is not to be interpreted here as an end to be gained later in time, like after retirement. The ultimate end is the predominant end, meaning there is no other end. All other so-called ends subserve this ultimate end. Everything one does is for the ultimate end alone. One even eats to gain this end alone, as Krishna says later. The study of Sanskrit also serves the same purpose. The study of Sanskrit is not so that you may become a Sanskrit scholar. I study whatever is to be studied as a discipline, as a means to gain access into what is being taught in the Vedanta Sastra. The ultimate end here is not to champion the cause of Ishvara in any way, although there are self-appointed champions who say they want to propagate Ishvara. Surely Ishvara does not need any such help. By the very definition of Ishvara, he should be able to achieve whatever he wants to accomplish. So by the very definition of Ishvara, he should be able to achieve whatever he wants to accomplish. He does not want you to champion him at all. If he wants to accomplish something, he can accomplish it without you. Your commitment is only to understand what Ishvara is. Ishvara, Paramatma, is the only end for the meditator, the Dhyana Yoga. His or her mind is lost in me. He is Machita. Krishna says here, speaking as Ishvara, the Lord, in the mind of this person who is Machita, the predominant object is Ishvara. Also, by calling the person Matpara, Krishna conveys the fact that Ishvara is something to be accomplished. In fact, Ishvara is the only end to be accomplished for this person. Both these words, Matchitta and Matpara, indicate the person's exact understanding of what he or she wants to accomplish, to know. So, the mind of the person who is Matchitta, Krishna says here, speaking as Ishvara, the Lord, Matchitta. He is Matchitta. You want me to read it again, or you guys want to go further?
Yeah, I think you can read it one more time.
Okay. Ishvara, Paramatma, is the only end for the meditator. So Ishvara, the Paramatma, is the only end for the meditator, the Dhyana Yoga. His or her mind is lost in me. He is Machita. So the mind which is thinking about the Lord all the time, that's become Machita. Krishna says here, speaking as Ishvara, the Lord. In mind of this person who is Machita, the predominant object is Ishvara. Also, by calling the person Matpara, Krishna conveys the fact that Ishvara is something to be accomplished. In fact, Ishvara is the only end to be accomplished for this person. Both these words, Matchitta and Matpara, indicate the person's exact understanding of what he or she wants to accomplish, to know. So this is about the Dhyana Yoga, right? So we are trying to meditate on Ishvara. I don't remember what sloka is. This one is 14, right? Okay. Should we go further? Okay. Do you want to say anything about the 1
Yeah,
minute?
I think
You want to
we
read the
dealt with,
shloka, 13 shloka? Just
yeah,
1 second.
13th and 14th.
Yeah.
We've been, I think, doing this for the last maybe week, 10 days.
Yeah.
We probably
Which
didn't
is
do
fine.
it.
This
No,
is
which is fine.
this is like a bone skeleton
Yeah.
on which we will be.
Correct.
Yeah.
See, that
Samam.
difference between, you'd asked about what is the difference between Matchitta, Matpara. I think as long as we still have a little doubt, it is good to go back and then. He spoke of blood pressure para. He says that is, if you're going to meditate on blood pressure, you can meditate for material gain, or you can meditate for the ultimate.
Spiritual gain, yeah.
So that is the difference, I suppose, between Matchitta and Matpara. Your ultimate gain, what is it? You want to become him. So that becomes that Matpara. And Matchitta is, he's there constantly in your mind.
Yeah, thinking of me.
Thinking
So,
of
but
him.
he is saying ultimate goal, where the Ishvara or Paramatma is the ultimate end. So it's nothing, I mean, especially if you're pursuing that spiritual end path, that's what you're thinking of me as Matchita, and then the Matpara is the meditator who accomplish this Paramatma, Ishvara is the ultimate end.
Correct.
So either way, Matchitta and Matpara is you're attaining the Ishvara's, like you said, like Tambura in the back of your mind all the time. Like that, you're thinking of that is the ultimate end. You want to know the God. You want to know who that Paramatma is, So, and that is, our ultimate end, like the goal. So who is that and how we going to see him and things like that, keep thinking about that part is what Matsitta and Matpara. All right.
I think we'll stop here today. Bela, you want to read the shlokas, the chant shlokas?
I can try it. I don't know. I can get it. It's like samam kaya siro grivam dharayana chalam. Is it correct? Dharayana chalam stiraga samprakshya nasikagram.
I will help Tumara. You can read Samam kaya shiro grivam dharayanna chalam sthiraha. You want to read the line?
That's fine. Samam gayat chiro grivam dharayannachalam tiraha.
Wonderful. Samprekshanasikagram swam dishaschanavalokayan.
Samprakshya nasikagram swam disachanavalokayan.
Wonderful. Very nice.
Okay. Prasantatma vigatabir Brahma. No, Vigatabir Brahma Sharivar. Pratesthya. I mean, my sloka book is a little different than in this one, So
Yeah, it's
it's
okay. I
Yeah.
think Bela, you can chant.
yeah, you
And
finish chanting it. Yeah.
प्रशान्तात्मा विगतभिर्ब्रह्मचारी व्रते स्थितः मनः संयम्य मच्चित्तो युक्त आसीत मत्परः.
Okay.
Just read the Pratipadartha quickly. Holding oneself firm without moving, holding the body, head and neck in one straight line as though looking at the tip of one's nose and not looking in all directions, being the one whose mind is tranquil, who is free from fear, established in one's commitment to the life of a brahmachari. May that yogi meditator sit thinking of me, having me as the ultimate goal. Jai Gurudev. Please remember this line when you meditate or do sadhana.
so we'll invite anyone else to take up the shloka number 15 tomorrow. We'll wind up here today. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.